not here, you look out for your sugar coma. Drink it. It's your only hope. It has to be. It's time for you to die. All you've ever had to do is take one swing, and you're home free.
Wait, what? I am Doomsvince. And here comes day 185 of Spawn Year.
I don't get it. Hogman spent an entire story arc getting Spawn to a place where he would finally understand that he's still a puppet of Malbolgia, that no matter how vindicated he might feel when he kills someone he thinks really deserves it, it's still the devil's work. So now, after that surreal visit from something calling itself Al Simmons, Spawn has left the alleys, destroyed all evidence of his existence, that's what the necroplasmic inferno was about apparently, freaked out the entire celestial bureaucracy, and is going all over the world now, doling out the exact brand of justice he's been doling out since he plugged Billy Kincaid full of popsicle sticks. We have yet another child abuse situation here, a sweet little girl terrorized by the man she and her mother are living with. I'm guessing stepfather, but we're not told, who locks her in a room for 3 days and tells her to think about her actions while he tries to decide what punishment she deserves. As if being totally petrified to the point of being afraid to sleep and internalizing and twisting events in her head so that she starts to believe she's worthless and spoiled and ungrateful isn't enough. She accidentally bumped Seth's antenna when he was watching TV. That's the reason for all the psychological scarring she'll no doubt be in therapy for years after. Seth isn't developed at all. I don't know why he hates kids or why making a little girl afraid to be in her own house makes him feel better about himself. I don't even know what the problem is he's taking out on her. He has a job of some kind, claims he works like a horse all day, my this, my that, I worked hard for that TV, you can't touch it, blah blah blah. In issue 29, we knew why the jaded cop beat his kids. His wife died and he couldn't handle it. We also knew he was a shadow of the man he had once been. I'm totally detached from this situation because it's all from a 6 or 7-year-old girl's perspective and she doesn't have much information. Hogwin does effectively illustrate what this does to the psychology of a child. We experience her paranoia and her self-deprecation, and we're afraid of this guy right along with her. After all, if it's her story and we're sharing in her perceptions, it makes sense we should see him as an exaggerated and inhuman monster. But the reason I'd like to know more about Seth is in relation to Spawn's involvement. Spawn watches all this for a while. The little girl can feel his presence and is haunted by him, and at the end he goes with his classic MO, the ironic, brutal execution. Kill the bad guy with whatever his instrument of evil was, in this case, the TV antenna. Does Spawn know something I don't? Seth's behavior toward the little girl was sadistic, but how can he be sure he has all the facts? You know, like he didn't when he tortured Sarah to death and sent her soul to hell, only to find it was demonic possession and that he was already indirectly responsible because the demon was Billy Kincaid, who he also killed, unaware of the post-mortem repercussions. How can Spawn be sure he isn't making the situation worse? That girl and her mother obviously relied on Seth for a place to stay. At the end, the mother asks Sam and Twitch what will happen to them now. They have nowhere to go and very well might end up in similar circumstances out of desperation. Spawn got a man to stop tormenting a little girl, but in the most extreme, unnecessarily destructive and gruesome way possible. That girl is definitely going to need more therapy after Spawn's involvement. He had more sense than to slaughter the father in issue 29. He gave that guy a chance to be a better man. Well, why not this guy? in a less severe situation. It seems a lot worse than it might be because the girl is an unreliable narrator. She sees other kids starving in a closet, but then they disappear. So I don't know just how bad this guy is or how far he'll take it. I can't be sure he's ever been physically abusive, though locking a girl in a room should probably count, or if he's starving her. Either way, I don't understand how Spawn is irresponsibly butchering anyone he thinks deserves it still, because if he'd wanted to improve the situation, he certainly wouldn't have done that. But the book and everyone in it acts as if he's changed. Sam and Twitch seem to be aiding Spawn in this crusade. They arrive on the scene and smugly chalk it up to an accident. But then Cog, looking very dapper and out of the 1800s, an angel named Ambassador Epiphany, cute. How many different spellings of that name are we liable to see? And the man himself from Hell convene an emergency meeting because Spawn has taken himself off the game board. Cog hopes before he arrives that Hell won't send one of Violator's brothers, a vandalizer in a suit. Now that I'd like to see. And then a narration box reads, he didn't send anyone to speak for him. Instead, he showed up himself. If this is Malbolgia in human form, he sure doesn't act like Bolgi. This guy is calm and formal and suave. So my guess is he's the devil with a capital D. He basically tells both the others that according to the truce, Spawn is his and he wants him back. They're panicking over Spawn saying, I quit, and running off. But how has anything really changed? It's not like Spawn was ever consciously cooperating with Hell's plans for him. He kept saying he was his own man and was manipulated to do Hell's bidding anyway. Now the devil's worried because he announced it? That would be like if I worked as a dishwasher at a restaurant, came to work but never actually washed dishes, and then one day said, I quit, and the whole place practically shut down in despair. And why suddenly can't Hell track Spawn? Why does the green fire change Spawn's relationship to the alleys? They're still there. And come to think of it, I guess we've totally dropped that ultimatum of be my Grim Reaper or I'll kill Wanda. Remember that? Well, it's never been mentioned since it was introduced, so I'm surprised I did. But then, Spawn still looks like a Grim Reaper here, so what's Hell's problem? And what's Spawn's problem? I thought he was finally making some sense. I don't get it. Signed, Captain Logan.